Roblox has just released a new tool which enables us to generate textures for our models and meshes using AI, and I am impressed. The texture you're actually seeing right now on screen has been generated using this tool, and this is what the mesh looks like without any texture at all. So, seeing that, are you impressed? Now, while that texture might be pretty cool and maybe even impressive, I don't want to get your hopes up too high, especially because this tool has just been introduced. But with that being said, let's hop right into Studio and begin exploring it. Now actually, before we hop into Studio, I want to quickly clarify that this is not the same tool as the material generator that Roblox released last year in 2023. This is a brand new feature which was included in the patch 616, which was released on March 14th. And with that being clarified, let's go ahead and hop into Studio. Now, inside of Roblox Studio, you can see that I have 5 models in front of me. From the left to the right, we have a bunny model, then a sword model, then an egg model, then a pickaxe model, and finally a rocks model. All of these models, except for the bunny pet model, have been taken directly from the toolbox because I am not a modeler. So I just wanted to quickly get some models in front of me so that I could actually play around with this tool and see what it's actually capable of. And now using this tool inside of Studio is pretty easy. All you want to do is come over to the View tab, and then inside of the Show section right here, we can see Texture Generator. You're going to want to select Texture Generator, and that should appear somewhere on your screen. I just docked it in the center where my actual game is being displayed. Once you've opened up the Texture Generator, it'll tell you to select a mesh part or model with mesh parts inside of it to texture. And how I set up all the things that we're going to be working on today is they're all basically models which contain mesh parts inside of them. So we can look at all these different ones, and we can see that this is how they all actually look. And with this tool being open, let's go ahead and start off by selecting the bunny pet and seeing what this looks like. Once we select the bunny model, we can see it displayed on our screen right here. And inside of this box, we can actually hold the right click down and then move our mouse to rotate our camera around the model. If we click this button at the top right, that'll reset the camera to what it was originally at, but I'm going to rotate our camera so that the face of the model is facing us. Then we see a box which says describe the texture for your mesh, and then it gives us some examples. So rusty robot, cat with samurai armor, and then a comma, and it says photorealistic style. So of course inside of here is where we can insert our prompt for what we actually want to generate, but then we also have some advanced options below that as well. When we look at the advanced options, we see randomized seed, and if we look at what that actually is, it says that different seeds create different results even with the same prompt. And for generation angle, there is no question mark here, but if we look towards the top of this tool, we can actually see it right here. So at the top left of the tool, it says the most important view of your mesh prioritized by the generator. If the mesh has a face or other detailed area, make sure it's visible here to improve your results. So now that we understand what that is, let's actually go back to looking at this property. And when we actually move the camera or model around, we can see that the generation angle is automatically being generated and updated for us. So it's probably a good idea to make sure that you actually have your model facing the correct way. Next, we have Smart UV Unwrap, which honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't think it's even worth me trying to explain what this is. I have no idea what this is. I tried to look it up on Google. I'm not sure if it's the exact same thing as everywhere else, and even that definition is just really not that simple. So we're going to do a few tests with this enabled and with it disabled and see if there's any actual noticeable difference, which I don't think there will be. But yeah, if somebody is a modeler and this actually does have a significant effect on what's generated, it would be nice if you could leave a comment down below explaining that to us. I think we'd all really appreciate it. And for the final option, we have Specify Front View. This specifies the chosen generation angle as the front of the mesh. This is helpful for objects with a clear front and back like avatars and animals. So this would actually be perfect to enable because we're trying to generate a texture for our bunny pet. Now that we've seen the different options, let's go ahead and actually type out a prompt. So to describe my mesh, I'm going to say white bunny with pink ears. Then I'm going to use a comma and I'm going to say low poly style. And then we can click the preview button here, which, I just realized there is a maximum of 25 previews per day, and I've already used up so many of mine. That is not good. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and preview what that would look like. And, okay, this is what we got. I mean, honestly, I'm not sure how I feel about this. In some ways, it's very impressive, and in other ways, it's a little bit disappointing. So again, we said white bunny with pink ears, and we specified low poly style. Now, I think the ears are good, but our model already kind of had pink ears as well, so I'm not sure if the ears that we're seeing are from that pink part or if the texture is actually generated that well. So if those ears are from the texture, that is done pretty perfectly. But then if we come down to the eyes, we can see like 2 pink lines coming from them. That's a little bit odd. I imagine that those lines are because the AI is trying to include pupils for the eyes, but obviously those are some very weird pupils. Usually they are in the center of the eye by not extending inward from the top and bottom. And it also made them pink, which is kind of annoying because we specified pink ears, but that doesn't mean that we need everything else to be pink. I mean, the eyes are black, so at least it was smart enough to understand that. It even gave us a nose and a mouth, which honestly, that's pretty good. We didn't even mention that at all. But again, the mouth is pink too. And I mean, it doesn't look bad being pink, but I feel like it also could have maybe been better if it was something different. And we can see the feet of it are pink, which is cool, but we also didn't specify pink feet. We specified pink ears, and we said a white bunny. So I'm not sure if I'm really happy with those feet or not, but overall, I don't really think this is that bad. If we're talking about making a collection of pets, of course we would want to keep those styles all consistent and not have significantly different faces and stuff like that. So if the AI was able to generate the similar faces and say like similar eyes and different things like that for all of our pets, then this could actually be usable. But if we're only able to generate a single pet that looks like this, then I feel like this tool might not be too useful for that specific scenario. Anyway, on the left and the right, we can see that we have two arrows here. Let's go ahead and click the right arrow. We can see that the model is tilted a little bit, and we can see it from a side view, which it's cool. I mean, it's just a little bit more pink. Then we can see the tail on the back, which I think looks nice. But also, I wish that we could kind of see like a better before and after preview of this. Maybe I should have done that myself. Then we have another side view. I wish that we could see like a downward and upward view as well so that we could see the bottom and the top of it. But overall, I don't think that that's bad. We can click on save and apply, which I think that I've used all of mine, but let's go ahead and click it. And when I click it, we can see that it is actually generating. So actually, I guess I didn't use all of them. And we'll see how this actually looks like when it's added to the model. Okay, we can now see in the Save Textures tab, our white bunny with pink ears low style, and we can see 3 dots here. If we click them, we get a few options: insert mesh with texture, show in inventory, export, and remove. Now, if we hit export, it actually allows us to save this as an OBJ file, which seems like a pretty neat feature. But let's go ahead and insert mesh with texture so that we can actually see what this looks like. So going back to Studio, let's actually look at where this model was inserted at. Okay, it was inserted inside of our previous one. Okay, looking at the model, I don't see the texture on it. Okay, at this point, I've tried as many things as I possibly can, but I have no idea what actually happened here. I kind of feel bad because I feel like I'm kind of like poorly representing Roblox's tools. Maybe it's to do with the Smart UV Unwrap. So I'm going to actually go ahead and turn that option on. And then we have the bunny model selected again. Let's go ahead and preview another texture. Okay, and here's another one that we got. I'm not gonna lie, like I said, I tested this beforehand, and man, when it comes to generating faces and the eyes in particular, everything about this face, in my opinion, actually seems really, really well done. Like the mouth, the nose, whatever you would call these things on the side, those look great. I think those look perfect. But when it comes to the eyes, they always seem to fail. Now, the eyes on this one generated similar to the eyes of the first one I ever generated before I even showed you guys. And I don't know, for some reason, the eyes always seem kind of a little bit creepy. This one doesn't look too bad because it's brighter pink, but it almost just kind of feels like this poor bunny is bleeding from its eyes. Like, I don't know why, but it seems to really struggle with like making eyes. And at least in my opinion, making them not look very creepy as well. But overall, if we look at the face, it's good. The eyes can use a little bit of work. The ears look fine. If we tilt this over, we can see that the side is pink, and I don't know how I feel about that. The side looks way more pink than the front face of it. So yeah, not sure about that. If we check the other side, that's also pink. If we check the back, we see the tail, which is just pure white, and the back is pink. If you look at the feet are a lot less modified this time, so that's kind of interesting to see. But let's go ahead and once again try to save and apply and see if this one turns out better than the previous one. And also, every single time you save one of these textures, which I would recommend not doing at first if you're just trying to play around with this, because again, you only have 5 saves that you can actually do a day, and you are also limited on previews as well. You only have a maximum of 25, but every time you do save a texture, it's going to take a couple of seconds to save. I think this timer right here is for like how long it's estimated to take, but we can clearly see that it finished up even quicker. Anyways, now that it's done, we can see the save texture right here, and in the preview, it looks perfectly fine. We can even like move the model around and see it. And yes, this has the exact same issue as what I described earlier. When we look at the bottom of this, I don't understand why, but the bottom is just completely ruined. Like I don't know if there's any other way to describe this. This should not happen at all. I mean, clearly everything else they did is pretty nice. If we look more at the tail though, we can kind of see that that's not great. It honestly looks to me like we threw a bucket of paint at this and the tail blocked all of the paint from reaching that part of its body. So I'm not really a fan of the pink texture sort of a thing. And even the ear kind of looks a little bit questionable there as well. But like the face is really nice here. I don't think the face is bad at all. And if we could use this texture for just the face alone, I think that would turn out pretty good. But now let's go ahead and try to insert this mesh with texture into Studio and see if we can actually, well, see it. And okay, yeah, actually we can see it actually looks like they updated the initial model with the texture, so we didn't even have to insert it this time. Maybe the previous one just had issues because we didn't use smart UV wrap, so my bad, Roblox, if I'm representing your tools badly. I do apologize. But anyway, now that we can actually see this model in game, let's take a better look at it. So the ears look a lot better here than in the preview. Like the ears actually look pink on both sides here. The eyes, I mean, the eyes, kind of the closer you get to it, the worse it looks. So I don't know if the quality is very high. I'm not sure exactly how to describe it. Like I said, I'm not an artist, but like still, from a little bit away, it doesn't look bad. Like I would be perfectly fine with using this in my own game if I could just change those creepy eyes a little bit. If we look around the back, we're still having that same issue. And if we look at the bottom, I mean, that is just atrocious. That is an atrocity. I don't know what happened there. And now if we actually look inside of all of the meshes, we can see that a surface appearance has been added to each of them. So we kind of have a little bit of an option to mess with this a tiny bit. Like for instance, this mesh part is the feet. So if I deleted this surface appearance, that would clear the feet of that atrocity, but it would also remove the even pink tint to it as well. So that's not a great solution, but it kind of is a solution in a way. But not all surface appearances are really generated in an easy way to configure like that. Like for instance, in this mesh part right here, this is the main square body part, and this seems to really have the bulk of the entire texture. So if we were to delete this, we can see that everything on the bottom is deleted, but like also pretty much every single thing else that's a part of this texture has been deleted as well. So yeah, you can kind of work with it a little bit, but you're also kind of limited. If you're an artist though, maybe you could download the texture off of the Roblox website and then modify it yourself and re-upload it, and then use that modified texture. That might be great. And if that is possible, then I think that's a great assistive tool for artists as well to make their job even easier. But with that being said, let me know in the comment section down below what you would rate this model with the generated texture. In my opinion, I'm really not trying to have super high standards for this tool. Everything is still advancing. It's in its early stages. But what we got from this, I don't think it was that bad at all. I would say at minimum, a 5 out of 10. At the maximum, I could almost say that like this is a 9 out of 10. Literally, my only issue with this is the eyes and the bottom of it. If it wasn't for the eyes and the bottom of it, I would say that this is pretty much a 10 out of 10. Like that is a very nice texture. Again, though, I'm not an artist, so my opinion might not be that great. There might be quality issues with it or different things that I'm not even realizing at this point, and you guys can all judge that for yourself and leave in the comment section down below. So I'm going to go ahead and toss this model to the side, delete our 2 other pets, and now let's go with this sword right here. So I'm going to select the sword model, go back to the texture generator, and for this one, I'm going to say sword with a green blade and a yellow handle, low poly style. Now, those colors are not great. I would never actually use those colors, but one of my goals here is to be able to clearly see if the AI is able to differentiate the different parts of the model itself. So can the AI recognize what the blade is versus what the handle is? If we're using green and yellow, we can kind of clearly see that. Anyway, let's go ahead and click preview and see what happens. Okay, and now this is what we've got returned to us. And yeah, not very impressive at all. I mean, if you like the texture, then that's cool. Maybe that's impressive to you. But in my opinion, I feel like this kind of demonstrates that the AI kind of fails to recognize what parts of the model are the specific parts. Let's even try to make these colors vastly different. So instead of going with green and yellow, let's actually go with blue and red, for example. That would make it a lot more clear. Oh, okay. Well, that was a lot worse. So sword with a blue blade and a red handle, low poly style. Yeah, first of all, this viewer is kind of a little bit hard to like see the mod. Like we're not really able to see the model up close. I can't zoom in. I can't really get a good look at the texture. The preview is not great in my opinion. I even closed the output window and it didn't enlarge this at all. So I don't think there's a better way of actually seeing it. But if we rotate it to the right, this doesn't look good, but the model itself might just be very thin. So that could be why. And then if we rotate it to the backside, I mean, like the texture looks cool. Don't get me wrong about that, but it also did not follow our directions at all, I would say. First of all, I don't think the style of this is low poly, but as I've said 100 times, I'm not an artist. Maybe there's a better name for low poly style that AIs could use and recognize. but when we say low poly style, it just doesn't recognize the style that we're referring to. But I'd say the most disappointing thing here is we specified blue and red, and I don't see even the slightest bit of red here at all. So what that means to me is that this clearly cannot differentiate a blade from the handle, for example. And if we look inside of the model, we even named the mesh part blade and handle as well. So it kind of should have been able to grasp that, I would say. But with this, it clearly was not able to do that. Now, as we select the individual mesh parts, we can see that they are added to this as well. So that kind of has me thinking that depending on how your model is set up, you could split the model up into individual mesh parts and try to generate textures for the individual mesh parts. But I feel like then you'd run into the issue of having the textures have a consistent style. So I'm not sure if that is a great solution either. But if you wanted to, you could definitely try that out and let me know how that goes. Anyway, a little bit disappointed with how the sword turned out. Of course, we can kind of throw any different color combination or style that we want in here, but I feel like the most important thing that we kind of realize from this is that the AI isn't really intelligent and able to tell the mesh parts actually apart. So next, we'll go ahead and select the pickaxe. And for this, I'm going to say golden pickaxe with a pink handle. Then we'll click preview and see how this turns out. Okay, wait, wait a second. What? I don't understand. Wait, I am so confused by this. I don't understand at all. When we look from this perspective, are we looking from like a down top angle? Because I don't understand how when we look at these other views, we're able to clearly see the gold texture there, but when we look from this view, we don't see that at all. It's like it literally isn't there. I don't understand how that's happening. Even though I only have 3 more saves left and this doesn't look great, I would never actually use this. Let's go ahead and save this to see what this actually looks like in Studio. Because that discrepancy with the gold actually existing is very odd to me. I really can't even make sense of it. Okay, it's now been fully generated. Let's go back to Studio and actually look at the pickaxe. And yeah, okay, that's yeah, wow, that I don't think Roblox developers ever watch my video, and this wouldn't be a critique on their work. I'm just critiquing the AI. This is flat out terrible. This is so bad. This is not usable at all. Yeah, I'm sorry. No offense to anybody who might take offense to this if you created this system or anything. Again, I'm not trying to be offensive, but also this just didn't turn out good. Still, to give it a little bit of credit, maybe my prompt wasn't great. I don't know, but that could actually be the reason for this. Realistically, Roblox didn't put out any documentation on the system, and the only suggestions or guide that we really had for what our prompt should look like is this example right here. And honestly, their examples are significantly less detailed than even what I'm saying. So that's why this time I tried to just make it simple and go with golden pickaxe with a pink handle to see how that turned out. And honestly, with that, I'd say this is the worst one compared to both the sword and the pet. But just because that one didn't turn out good, I actually think that the simpler the model is, the better it can possibly turn out. Because remember the intro with the egg that I showed you? That egg impressed me so much. That thing looked amazing. I'm not even gonna lie. So with that being said, let's go ahead and actually start trying this out with an egg. Now, I'm going to try the original prompt which I used to get that really cool purple looking egg. And the prompt that I used was purple and black dragon egg, comma, low poly, flat style. The reason that I'm saying low poly, flat style is because I tried to do a little bit of research on what low poly is actually referred to. Because like I said, the AI might not understand what we mean by low poly. And I really didn't come across anything that great or that useful. Somebody suggested that the style could also be called low poly, flat style, so that's just kind of what I tried here. Anyway, let's click preview and see what happens with this prompt. So this looks great, but then when we swap over to this angle, that looks completely different. That looks completely different. That kind of looks, so yeah, I'm not sure exactly, but actually, now that I think about it, I think the reason for this is because in our advanced options, we had specify front view enabled. So if we disable this, let's try to preview the exact same prompt. And I feel like we're going to get a much better result, but I could also be completely wrong. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so this looks fine, I think that looks good. Let's go to the next angle, and okay, now the style is staying consistent. So I'm actually really happy with this. Although I'm not really a big fan of it being completely different at the bottom compared to every other spot on this, I think that this texture honestly looks so cool to me. This looks really, really cool. I'm not sure if you would call this low poly, in a way, I feel like this is like HD texture, super high quality, but I don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and click save and apply because I really want to see what that actually looks like in Studio. I'll be honest with you, I didn't do too many tests, but to kind of spoil this, well, I actually never even tried to generate any rock textures, so that could also turn out really well. But so far, out of everything that I've tested, the egg texture has been the coolest ones that I've ever actually seen, and man, do they turn out really, really cool. Okay, now it's been generated. Let's see what this looks like inside of Studio. And looking at how it looks inside of Studio, I mean, you know, it's not yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't like look how it even looked in the preview. I mean, I guess it kind of does look this way in the preview. Well, now it does, but I don't know. I feel like when we were seeing the previous preview, there was none of this like white in the texture at all. I don't know where all this white came from, and it's not the reflection or anything. Like you can actually see the sun reflection on part of it, but that's not what this white is. That's why I'm kind of rotating it. This white is literally baked into the texture. Okay, that's like actually completely disappointing. I would say almost like the best looking part of it is the bottom part, which I wasn't very interested in because the AI just completely ruined this for me with all this white that it just randomly added into it. I don't know what happened there. So yeah, that's actually really disappointing because the preview looked great. I was excited by it. I thought it was actually going to turn out good. Anyway, let's go ahead and try to generate another type of egg. Let's say frozen snow egg, and we'll use the same style. When we generate that, I mean, you know, it is snow. I guess I probably should have chose something other than like white. And I mean, it's not terrible, but it's just not great. Maybe that's just because like my idea wasn't good. Let's just try a frozen ice egg instead. But you try frozen ice. Oh my, I don't even understand. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I don't understand what's going on here at all. I only have one more save, but like I also want to save it to see what's going on. Like with each rotation, are we only able to directly see like 25% of the egg? Because it doesn't feel that way. It feels like we should kind of be seeing like other parts of it. You know what I mean? Like for this to literally just be all white, it feels like it's displaying the texture incorrectly to me. And it's just displaying the basic plain white model that we had originally. And like even this, like how are we not seeing a single bit of blue in the texture at all? Unless this is like 4 variations of it, that could be it, maybe. Like, let's go ahead and just try to save and apply this white one and see if we also get the blue included with it as well. And now that it's finished generating, I just got hit with a usage limit. You've hit your daily 25 previews. Try again later, but we didn't try to preview it. We just tried to, save it. Anyway, I don't know. Okay, we did save it. What is... I don't I have absolutely no idea what is going on here. Yeah. That, I have no idea. I really don't. All I know is that I'll definitely make a second video on this, but I also wanted to make a quick video kind of showcasing me using this so that you guys can actually see some results from it. But yeah, wow. I kind of hope that this is like a user error on my end, and maybe I just selected really bad meshes to try this with. Maybe my prompts are really bad or something like that, but I do not understand what is going on at all here. It is very odd. Like, I mean, okay, so this is the preview of it. Yeah, I don't know. That's really weird. That's just really, really weird. So yeah, unfortunately, I guess I used up all of my previews before getting to the rocks. My apologies. Since I ran out of previews, I actually decided to go to this developer forum topic, which I saw discussing this as well. In here, we can see a couple of people sharing their results, and I figured it might be worthwhile to take a look at. This person shared a gun, which they said looks terrible, but it looks fine from 5+ studs away. But up close, for example, on an FPS rig, the model looks like a 2012 mobile game. But then if we look a little bit further down, they actually say that they are surprised that it did match the details of the gun properly, such as the stock, barrel, everything else, but the quality is just not there. And to be fair, if we actually look at this a little bit closer, I mean, I'm not a big gun enthusiast, so maybe it is a little bit off a tiny bit in some areas, but overall, it really does actually seem pretty spot on to kind of match those different parts parts of the gun, which is surprising because when we tried it with a sword, it was not able to actually match those parts for like the handle or the blade, for example. This person tried it with a tree, and the leaves didn't turn out good at all, but I think the trunk or the brown part of the tree actually turned out acceptably fine. Then they also tested it with a boulder, and they say that the overall texture isn't horrible, but what seems like good lighting is actually the texture. It just decides to add shadows that aren't there. Some areas are brighter than others, and some has shadows casted over them, even though this is an empty base plate and nothing that would cast a shadow over the rock was there. So yeah, that is kind of a really, really big issue, and I think that we can also relate our issue where we saw different white spots added into the texture and kind of relate those here. Then they tried to generate a texture for Katana, and that didn't turn out that great. Then finally they tried some mountains. And I actually agree with their take. They said, now, all right, can't say it's great, but certainly not horrible. It is pretty weird. It has some weird red lines at the bottom for whatever reason, but overall, not the worst. So yeah, I mean, this is one of the better looking ones in my opinion. It doesn't look perfect, and especially if what looks like a shadow is actually baked into the texture itself, that kind of ruins it for probably most people. But yeah. With my test and seeing how other people's tests were, the tool is still definitely in development. I think that this can be used for some things, but probably not widely used at the moment. But with AI rapidly expanding as much as it has been, I really feel like that within less than a year, we'll actually have a usable system and everybody will be able to easily generate textures at that point. But who actually knows? We'll just have to wait and see. Anyways, I definitely plan on revisiting this in the future and making another video on it. If I messed anything up or if I showed this in a bad way because of my own mistakes or anything like that, then I do apologize and let me know in the comment section down below. I don't want to feed people bad information or anything else like that, and that's not what I'm trying to do with this video at all. But anyways, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you smash the like button, hit the subscribe button if you want to see some more Roblox development content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.